We got another one here. This is the Ohio River explosion that happened just about 20 days ago now. Barely any media coverage. So if you want to see the full video, it's going to be in the description. I suggest you subscribe to him. He does get his channels deleted a lot, so he has a couple other ones. Subscribe to all of them if you want your facts straight and not some bullshit from the media that's owned by the same companies derailing these trains. So without further ado, let's get into the video.
Wow.
Oh yeah.
Look at it.
It's all in the bottom of the creek bed. Now look at it.
We drink the water.
But they burned all the chemicals off of there, right?
That's what I heard, yeah.
On the train. So our government decided to do a controlled burn of the toxic chemicals. Thus, giant mushroom smoke clouds, black clouds go into the sky, polluting the air. Animals in the area dying, fish in the water dying, and it's spreading all the way to the Ohio River where they could potentially poison the water there. And that's the supply chain for a lot of surrounding states to have clean drinking water. That's what you call a problem. But our government decided to do a controlled burn of the toxic chemicals, not to mention the fact that we had another derailment in Houston.
Lake Ohio is actually connected to Lake Erie, so this shit could come right up to Canada like that if this ain't controlled.
Houston, where there's hazardous materials, prompting Union Pacific to monitor air quality at the site of the crash, and they're doing the same thing. So when you think about this stuff, how do you think they're going to poison the water, right? I mean, somebody might say, hey, why don't they just poison it? Why do they need to tell anybody? All right. Well, this is probably an easier way for them to do it. And I'll show you more stuff about it, especially how conveniently a movie came out on Netflix, which I'm sure anyone following the story's already heard about. This called White Noise. It is the same exact plot. This isn't like a plot where you're like, you really could think about this and like, oh, you'd be like, oh yeah, why didn't somebody make a movie about it? It's a very bizarre situation. The fact that a movie just came out about it just shows you, because we know the predictive program. We knew it with Contagion. All the movies that have come out, the Outbreak movies, all of it. This is how Sigil Magic works. This is how the occult works. They show you in advance what they're doing. But let's take a look at some of the stuff going on in these towns. It's absolutely horrific.
The other big story tonight in Ohio, growing concern about the toxic fallout after that train crash earlier this month. Residents in the area are complaining of sore throats and headaches after chemicals were released during the controlled burn of the derailed train cars. Officials are adamant that there's no threat to human life, but Ohio's Natural Resources Department revealed an estimated 3,500 fish were killed. Officials continue to test the air, water, and soil. No threat to these residents in concern about the toxic fallout. The other big...
Take a look at some of the stuff going on in these towns. It's absolutely horrific.
The other big story tonight in Ohio, growing concern about the toxic fallout after that train crash earlier this month. Residents in the area are complaining of sore throats and headaches after chemicals were released during the controlled burn of the derailed train cars. Officials are adamant that there's no threat to human life, but Ohio's Natural Resources Department revealed an estimated 3,500 fish were killed. Officials continue to test the air, water, and soil nearly 2 weeks after the derailment.
It's been 12 days since the fiery derailment of a train carrying hazardous chemicals through East Palestine, Ohio, and the planned burn to prevent a potentially catastrophic explosion. Residents worry about what's still in the air, soil, and water of their rural community.
Don't tell me it's safe. Something's going on if the fish are floating in the creek.
Ohio officials confirming some 3,500 fish died in local waters in the days after the derailment, but insist extensive testing shows there's no threat to other wildlife or humans. They say there's only anecdotal evidence of residents getting sick, or wildlife or humans. They say there's only...
Jesus Christ. Look at that fucking smoke, bro. Now imagine you look outside, you see that. Me, I'm running. Even then, like, fuck.
Anecdotal evidence of residents getting sick and no confirmed connection to the hazardous chemicals aboard the train.
I definitely have a right to know what was on that train.
Still, for the first time, state officials suggested residents returning to the evacuation zone use bottled water, especially if they have a private well, while testing continues. The governor was asked if he would return home if he lived near the crash site.
I think that I would be drinking the bottled water. I would be alert and concerned. But
I definitely wouldn't drink the water if fish are dying.
Answer leaving some residents with mixed emotions.
I feel about 80% safe.
Ben Ratner and his family live half a mile from the crash site. Their kids are back in school after being out for a week. It sounds like you're still worried.
I think more so worried for the long term.
Now to that Ohio
That's
train
the long
derailment turned chemical spill and its impact on drinking water. We know Louisville Water is currently monitoring the spill, bringing in scientists to detect possible chemicals in our water, and we'll have more on that in just a moment. But first, the impacts closer to the spill, where neighbors say they aren't getting the information they need.
Linda Murphy lives in East Palestine, roughly 3 miles from Ground Zero and just up the hill from Leslie Road.
It's funny though, because they could recall some cleaning product that causes cancer 30 years later. Oh, if you have this product, you could get some money for using it because it could cause cancer. How do they know in 2 weeks that the site is fine, drink your water, there's no chemicals, even though a fucking train derailed with chemicals and blew up? But no, the water's fine, drink it. The fish are dying, but still drink your water. Fucking idiots, man.
On Creek.
There were several dead fish floating at multiple locations along Leslie Run.
The Murphys have well water, but right now they're not touching
it.
That's what
now.
we bathe in, that's what we drink, that's what we cook with, and that's what I also give to my animals. So it was a major concern, and they could not reassure me that the water was safe to drink. They didn't say it wasn't,
safe.
But they absolutely refrained from saying that it was.
Linda got one of her horses out of town, but Bert refused to step onto a trailer.
You can't drink
Obviously,
your water.
it might not be
People are gonna lose their
instantaneous,
shit.
where
There's not enough
there's
water
a result.
bottles
This
for
could
everyone.
be long term for years and
Not
years.
enough filtered
Their neighbors,
water
Joe
for
and Amanda
every single
White,
person
worry
in the
about
world.
their
No.
well water too. They just returned home after a night away with a case of bottled water to share with their golden retriever, Murphy.
Our well's 300 feet down. If it could have got into our wells in our drinking water.
Yeah. Or how long? If it's not in there now, is it going to be in there in a week?
Exactly.
Is it going to go, you know?
Is it going to over time gradually
Everything's
get
gonna seep
into
through
the
ground. It has to
soil?
go
Like,
somewhere.
it's
The
happening.
Ohio EPA tells me they have not
No one
seen
knows.
anything at this point
Experts
to
could
suggest
say what they
private wells
think,
would
but they
be
don't know
impacted.
shit.
Groundwater protection plans will be considered as part of long-term remediation. As far as the water in streams, the Ohio EPA says environmental contractors are taking water quality samples daily, with results expected in the coming days. They've also put up earthen dams in a stream close to the derailment to capture contaminants.
I want my water tested, every week, at least every week for the next few months until we get a nice,
years.
recorded record of
next
of
2
several
years.
tests
2-3 years.
that says it's free and clear of anything.
Linda wants long-term water testing too for her safety and peace of mind.
I would like someone to reach out and reassure us that, yeah, it's safe, but do I wholeheartedly believe that? No. But ongoing testing down the road, not only today, but in the future, and a relationship moving forward where we can be confident.
I'm News 5 investigator Tara Morgan.
And back here at home, Louisville Water says our water is safe to drink right now, but they're anticipating a plume of chemicals to reach us after leaking into the Ohio River during that chemical spill. Louisville Water experts say the chemical involved is used to produce plastics and resins. The biggest impact, they say, would actually be the smell of the water. They're monitoring the system in the Ohio River, has detected small bits of these chemicals, but the team says that they are sure they pose no risk to us.
And say, oh yeah, they died the outbreak or something else. So, conveniently, as always, like I mentioned earlier, we have a movie that just came out in 2022 called White Noise. Get ready for it. Here's the trailer, because it's the same plot. A derailed train. crashes off the train tracks.
Okay.
This fucking actor.
That stuff causes cancer in laboratory animals, in case you didn't know.
Either I chew gum or I smoke.
That's mine from Wives 1 and 3. There's that. That's from Husband 2. Wilder is ours. We're each other's fourth.
Life is good, Jack. I hope it lasts forever.
Let's watch a sitcom or something.
They're calling it the airborne toxic event.
It won't come this way.
Will we have to leave our home?
Of course not.
How do you know?
I just know.
Okay, what if it's dangerous?
We have a situation.
Does she have lashes?
We're just supposed to believe this is a coincidence.
Dad, does she have lashes?
Like everything else in this fucking world, a coincidence that there's a movie just a couple a month before get us desensitized to the subject. Then it happens. Everyone's just like, oh, I feel bad for them over there, but who really does? You know, everyone's used to this shit. I already watched the movie based on what happened, so everyone's like, yeah, that sucks. But who really, no one really cares. That's what they're trying to do to us. They're just trying to get us to not care, control us.
We keep inventing hope.
This makes him 10 times more obvious.
These things are not coincidental.
Not at all.
We see them way too often. We see them actually every time there is a major event. We could probably all go and find a movie that has the same exact plot line. Now, like I said earlier, I mean, a train accident,
see that movie now?
casting a cloud of chemical waste over the town. It's exactly what's occurring. Airborne toxic event forcing mass evacuation. We just saw the mass evacuation, which led to people having to be quarantined.
They showed exactly what was going to happen in that movie before it happened. They literally was like, this is what's going to happen. Get desensitized to it. So when it does happen, no one's going to give a fuck. And that's what happened until it got out 2-3 weeks later. It happened on February 3rd. And this video was only made on February 17th. So they only started showing the news only started showing this last week. This happened at the beginning of the month. So
oh, it all sounds very familiar to something else that they were trying to do to everybody around the world. So the fact that this is here, and then you look and you see other trains derailing, should make everybody suspicious. You have Houston with a train derailment carrying toxic materials.
Houston,
right? We had train derailments in other places like Philadelphia. So this stuff is happening all across the country.
It's everywhere.
And it's
Florida.
not even getting any real attention. Pennsylvania, they had the Norfolk Southern handling of a derailed train. Another one. They're all over the place. If you just look it up, Texas, Houston, Ohio, Pennsylvania. Ever hear stories like this before? All of these trains. This isn't Amtrak, by the way. So if you're thinking and you're just listening to this like it's a podcast, we're not talking about like an Amtrak train that you might take or a subway. We're talking about freight trains, like trains that are carrying toxic chemicals in there. The type of train that you would see on a train track, you'd be like, well, that's an old train. Do they even run those trains anymore? You barely see them drive through because most of the time these trains run at night and they usually carry military equipment. But in this case, they were carrying toxic chemicals. And then once the trains derailed conveniently, of course, just like a movie plot, in the same place, by the way. The movie that I showed you, the clip from White Noise, was in Ohio.
No.
So, I mean, how much more obvious can you get? And they even were reporting, some media outlets were reporting that there people who lived in that town were actually extras in the movie. They got paid to be extras in the movie. So, you know, that's just a coincidence that we're all supposed to believe, right? Because we were all
true?
born yesterday, of course.
That's
So
fucked
I'll continue
up.
to cover these stories about the train